I arrived to a rainy evening in Tokyo on my way to the ADA Nature Aquarium Party 2010. Fortunately, the next day things cleared up and I had an awesome ride to Niigata. We stayed in a traditional Japanese hotel, and that's where the party and main ceremony were held. It was a beautiful place, lovely Japanese garden, beautiful koi pond. Niigata is actually famous for its koi. You gotta love all the vending machines you see around Japan. I mean, what traditional Japanese hotel would be complete without ice cream and smokes? So we anxiously awaited the start of the ceremony. It's always exciting to see what the best aquascapes in the world are for that year. We were treated to an intro ceremony, featured all the past year's grand prize winners. The judges were introduced. Of course, everybody was excited about Mr. Amano. They basically show the top 27, and every single one in that top 27 gets a special commentary from the judging panel. And each judge present talked about which tank they had picked for grand prize. This cool one was Amano's choice for grand prize for 2010. My favorite tank was ranked number 4th, got the silver prize, and it was one of the most innovative of the whole contest, in my opinion. It's almost like you're peering out the eyes of a skull or deep in a cave, looking out into a deep forest, or the photography was just stunning too. Third place was cool, nothing I hadn't seen before, but a nice tank. The grand prize this year, as always, a little controversial. I mean, a great tank and a really unique concept. I was just surprised there was no fish visible in the tank. Nonetheless, lots of special attention was paid and an extensive commentary from each judge. As he does every year after all the winners are announced, Amano hand selects a few tanks to show how minor tweaks could have earned them more points. Then it was time for the famous Iwagumi challenge. They used sort of a history of ADA, true or false, to narrow down contestants, but in the end it took a little rock, paper, scissors. Stone was awesome as usual, and there's plenty of it. Some great ADA and Aqua prizes for the winners. After donning their official Iwagumi Challenge bibs, these guys got to work. This tank emerged as my favorite real early on. They had 30 minutes to complete their layouts, and then came the analysis of the judging panel. It was all very formal and very official, very serious. Judges used a classic point system, and it was basically whoever got the most points won. It was this guy with this tank. Not bad. A huge feast followed, and due to the large amount of Japanese beer served, I was unable to acquire much footage. We'll just leave it at that. The highlight of the next day was a trip to Mr. Amano's house to see his giant nature aquarium. His house is super cool, of course. We were brought over in groups, and unfortunately a group of simulants tetras, he had just added about 1,000 of them, were all hiding, I guess scared by the previous groups, but nonetheless the tank was just stunning. I was especially impressed with this cool plant growing up top, and it shoots these extensive root systems into the tank that Amano says do a lot to keep the water extra clear. I believe him, because for such a large tank, the water is just absolutely perfectly clear. The system itself is pretty incredible too. The quality of the materials, obviously second to none. It's a tank that definitely does what it was designed to do. I mean, again, for the size, this thing is just unbelievable in person. what blew me away the most were the stem plants growing in the back of the tank. These were pushing 3.5, maybe 4 feet high, and just perfect all the way to the bottom. These were all grown from wabikusa, so they were all grown from just individual wabikusa with just the one species, and the health and vigor clean down to the bottom was just unbelievable. Quick view of Amano's backyard on our way out. I had a meeting at the Nature Aquarium Gallery the next day, so I had the absolute privilege of having about an hour in there all to myself, not a soul around, perfectly quiet. Unique opportunity to really take in the gallery in each and every display. Just total solitude. Very cool experience. I was surprised to see Amano had revived this style in one of the 180 centimeter tanks. Probably the hottest trend in the Nature Aquarium Gallery was this perspective style where it pushes the plants up to the very front of the tank. A lot of these had really steep slopes too. You see how deep that aqua soil is in the back. This layout was probably my favorite of that style. Throughout the gallery too is this new dwarf hydrocotyle used in many different layouts. Very cool plant. It's the bright green one in the foreground there, of course. Close-up view of it. Really interesting. Can't wait to work with it. Honestly though, probably my favorite part of the gallery were the just amazing wabikusa displays. Some of these were really, really mature and just show how far these things can go when you just let them grow. Very cool. My last day I was treated to a special rock collecting trip with Steven Chong. Many of you may know him from the forums. Great guy. Found a cool secluded spot, some easy parking, and suffice it to say, plenty of stones. We wasted no time jumping in and was mostly looking for smaller stuff, stuff easy to get back. It's really cool just to get out there in the nature. Beautiful area. This is the way to collect stones. Not a bad haul either. To cap it off, Steven took me to this Japanese garden shop, sort of the equivalent of anyway. And this guy had an amazing collection of the highly sought after Hakai stone. This was overwhelming, really, really cool. Some of these he had had for upwards of 20 years. Couldn't resist the urge and really wanted to take some back with me, so I marked up a few I wanted and we'll make shipping arrangements one way or another. It was a perfect end to a perfect trip. Until next year.